We are living in a computer-programmed reality, and the only clue we have to it is when some variable is changed and some alteration in our reality occurs. We would have the overwhelming impression that we were reliving the present, déjà vu, perhaps in precisely the same way, hearing the same words, saying the same words. I submit that these impressions are valid and significant, and I will even say this: such an impression is a clue that at some past time point a variable was changed, reprogrammed as it were, and that because of this an alternative world branched off.
Good morning and welcome to the Monday edition of my radio experience. This is called the Monday Mashup, although it might not say that on Blog Talk because I sometimes forget to swap out the old title for the new title, but it doesn't really matter. You're here, I'm here, we're here together. Let's just share this moment in unison, shall we? Okay. Hello, and my name is Robert Phoenix. If you're listening to this program for the very first time, I welcome you. If you're a returning listener, I thank you very much for your desire to return to whatever it is I have to say. And thank you to everybody who supports the show in their own unique way and with their own unique contribution. If you haven't figured it out yet, the show does have a YouTube channel. It is Free Association Radio on YouTube. Now, there is another Free Association Radio. When I started Free Association Radio, I did it with the idea that there was nobody else out there that had it. Well, apparently there's some kid, he's not a kid, he's an adult, from, I think, some Ivy League school, and he has his own version. Came up right around the same time mine did, to be honest with you, so I guess we were both tapping into the same wavelength. So his is the Free Association Radio as it's spelled out. Mine is free with a capital F. And then it's all kind of one word, Free Association Radio, capital F, capital A, capital R, thus far. So there we go. It is the 5th of December, sorry. My eggnog latte from Starbucks hasn't really kicked in yet. By the way, I tend not to go to, there are only 2 times I go to Starbucks, because I tend not to want to support them. But a couple of people got me some Starbucks cards for my birthday, so I wound up going to Starbucks. And I go there to get out of the house, to be honest with you. You know, I'll go there, I'll set up shop, I'll dip into the Wi-Fi, I'll have a cup of coffee, and I can stay at Starbucks for a few hours. In fact, I may even go back there later today, depending upon what's going on with the rest of my life. So I will go there just to punctuate the solitude in my existence. And then the other time I will go to Starbucks is when they have eggnog lattes, because I love eggnog lattes. In fact, I love eggnog. I have to say that. And one of the bummer aspects about not drinking is missing out on eggnog lattes, or eggnog, period, not eggnog lattes. Although if you've ever put, let's say, rum in an eggnog latte, let me tell you, you're taking an eggnog latte to a whole nother level. Trust me on that. But I do miss eggnog as a alcoholic libation over the holidays. And I could go eggnog with rum, I could go eggnog with bourbon, I could go eggnog with Canadian whiskey. It's pretty much about it. I think when you start to get into like eggnog and scotch, you're pushing the boundaries a little bit. Eggnog and Irish whiskey, not a problem. Eggnog and tequila, big no. No to eggnog and tequila. So, I don't know. Maybe I will give myself at least one eggnog over the holidays, just to keep my my Bacchanalian card punched every now and then. Who knows? Speaking of Bacchanalian cards, if you have not been to my website, I urge you to do so. You can see my latest post, which is on the Big Lebowski, and specifically the dude. And, last week I was, I have Netflix, and, I had this moment last week where it was like this urging, watch the Big Lebowski, watch the Big Lebowski, watch the Big Lebowski. And I've seen it like 3 times. And if anybody's ever seen my picture, I have moments in my hair, my face, where I am the dude, okay? I am the dude. And in fact, I've shared this story with people before, that one time I had my Facebook page open, and my kid saw my Facebook page, and he saw a picture I posted. It was like Doppelganger Week or whatever at Facebook. And I posted this picture of the dude as being my doppelganger. And my son saw it, and he said, "Daddy, where did Mommy take that picture of you?" And I said, "Well, that's not me." And he would not believe that that wasn't me. It was really shocking on some level. So then I had to show him the movie. Well, I didn't show him the movie. I showed him clips from the movie. And then, and I've said this before, I wrote about this. After he saw that, he went back to his mom's place and started quoting lines from the Big Lebowski around the house. Oh, man. That was funny stuff. My kid was in a jiu-jitsu tournament on Saturday. And, he's not even 8 years old yet, and he's in what they call a smoker. And a smoker is, it's kind of different than other jiu-jitsu tournaments. It's mostly marked by the attire that the participants wear. So they will wear a pair of shorts and maybe a rash guard shirt, because the whole idea with the smoker is that you can't use the gi to grab. There's no grabbing. It's all really about locks and holds and submissions. It's a very distilled form of jiu-jitsu. So my son went, and he'd never done this before. He's done the other sort of gi tournament stuff at the dojo. And the first kid he went up against was from another studio. His name was Lucas. And I think Lucas might have been just a little bit older than him, slightly smaller, wiry. Man, was this kid good. He was really good. I mean, this was, he had all kinds of mad technique, and my son did not have the same level of technique that he did. So my son tried to, do what he does, and the kid just armbarred him like twice, like really fast. And my son got really pissed and frustrated, and he started charging like a mad bull. It was funny. But the kid kept armbarring him, and what was really fascinating is that this Lucas kid, in his first match, he went up against this other kid who's at the same studio my son trains at, named Oscar. And Oscar took him down. Oscar's a good wrestler. Oscar took him down, flattened him. Kid lost his breath. Got the wind knocked out of him, cried. It was like, anytime you see that happen, you feel bad, right? Oh boy. You start to think, where is this going? How is this going to impact the kid? Is this a life moment for this kid? Well, he bounced back. He got up in the next match, and he went up against my kid, and then he took it to my kid. So here we have a progression of somebody, going down to the mat, being beaten, getting back up, and then, thoroughly handing my kid an undressing on the mat. Now it's my kid's turn, right? He comes over to me. and he's, pissed off, he's frustrated, he's angry, he's on the verge of tears. I'm like, it's okay, it's okay, it's okay. Look, you did good, you didn't give up. So let's regroup for the next match, okay? He said, okay. So then the next match comes around, and it's this Oscar kid. And I have to say that my son did really, really well. First of all, he got back in the ring. Not easy to do after you've been, kind of humiliated on some level. And then at one point, Oscar even had him in like a chokehold, and my son was able to extricate himself from that and get out of that. And that was like the best thing that he did. And I tell you, a lot of people diss sports, and a lot of people diss contact sports and like martial arts. But I got to tell you, if you are concerned about your kid being bullied, you got to get him into MMA and jiu-jitsu. I mean, there's just girls are in it, boys are in it, doesn't matter. And the thing about it that especially if you go to a good studio, is the spirit of camaraderie and competition. Because after each match, the kids shook hands, they hugged each other. It was like, we did it, we left it out there on the mat, it was a good thing, and now let's be friends again. So the spirit of sportsmanship is really incredible, what I saw with these kids. So then I talked to my son afterwards, we talked about it, and of course I want to give him praise for being able to come back after literally getting up off the mat. And then, I used that to kind of launch into this whole idea of metaphors. I'm trying to teach him about metaphors, and that, being almost pinned and down and not being able to do anything and get out of it is kind of a metaphor for life. And the whole idea is to not quit. So I would say, all in all, it was a very good Saturday for that to take place. Did he take the world by storm? No. Was he embarrassed? A little bit. Did he come back from it? He sure did. So, hats off to him, and certainly an inspiration for me in my life when I look at the conditions of my life. So here we are. It's 10:15, 5th of December. And last week we had Senate Bill 1867 passed. Sigh. Yeah, so I have some thoughts about that, okay? Somebody sent me something on the YouTube channel which basically said, well, look at the language. It basically means that they're not going to go after Americans. I don't agree with that. I'm gonna respond to that post more in full. I think that there's enough gray area in the language where it becomes pretty subjective. Now, this has not gone into law. What's really weird about this, right, is that it's a Senate bill. So the Senate passed it, right? I thought stuff was supposed to start in Congress. I mean, if anybody out there has a strong grasp of the inner workings of the protocol of starting a bill, passing a bill, running it through the House, running it through the Senate, and then running it through the President, please put it on in the chat room, because it's my understanding that all the bills have to start with the Congress. And the Senate bill started with the Senate, obviously, and it's a defense spending bill. So maybe there's some wiggle room around that. It's $660 billion? $660 billion. Aside from the fact now that there's language in there that is very questionable about what they can do to people like me and you, let's just for a second contemplate $660 billion. What would happen if they decided, hey, you know what? Let's do this. Let's cover every enlisted officer's pay. And not officer, but soldier, everybody that's enlisted in the armed services, right? We don't want to cut them out from their. They've agreed to protect the multinational corporations. So let's not cut them out of their fair share.